Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go. Oh, and by the way, if you hear me give out a telephone number, don't call because this is a rebroadcast, and our janitor Charlie will answer the phone, and believe me, you don't want to talk to him. He's an ornery little cuss.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Saturday morning, and that's time again. It's time for Nostalgic Geekiness, the retro king of nostalgic geekiness talk radio, BK on the air. That is me. Every Saturday morning, I come in here and flip that switch on and turn it into Saturday morning again. We don't have any Saturday morning cartoons anymore, unfortunately, or we got a whole network really devoted to cartoons. That's partly was the reason I think they disappeared, because you can watch them anytime you wanted to, but it's time that you can actually still do this, though. You can still go Saturday mornings and pour that big, giant bowl of cereal. I don't know what size you used as a kid to make cereal, but I went and got the biggest bowl I could out of the kitchen and poured the cereal in there. Unless there was a prize in the box, I wanted to go ahead and reach down. I tried my best to reach down past the cereal into the bottom of the box to pick out the whatever prize happens to be in there, especially before my sister got a hold of it, and get whatever it was out. I could never do that, and so I took a giant bowl, poured all the cereal out, and then took the prize that was in there and then poured the cereal back into the box so Mom would never know any difference. But she did, because I could never get that cereal back in the box to get it to fit the way it did before I poured it out. I could never put it. How come when you put the cereal back in the box, it doesn't fit right? Because it was in there before. I'm like, well, this was in the box before. Why can't I get it to look the exact same way? And instead, now the whole cereal box looks like it's been pumped up with air, and it's bulging in the middle, and it's weird. And how weird that is, because I ate so much cereal as a kid, I bulge in the middle now. So that's result from a misspent youth of eating too much cereal for breakfast in the morning. I poured that big bowl and poured the milk in there and sat right in front of the television. I know you weren't supposed to do this, but I sat down on the floor right beside our giant 24-inch console wood grain Zenith television to watch all these shows on. And you're going to ruin your eyes if you sit too close to the television, is what I always heard. But my eyes are still fine. You know, I turned 55 not too long ago, and I need some reading glasses for things up close, but I think everybody needs that at one point. My eyes are still good. I can still see who people are talking to me. I know who they are, unlike some people that need glasses and stuff. But I am glad to be here with you every Saturday morning. I'm going to give out the number, 770-386-1450. If I'm talking about anything today that you want to talk about or chime in on, you be sure to give me a call and let me know. And it is Saturday morning, so let's return to that time of Saturday morning and make it feel like it.
B5O-hum!
Come on, you guys. It's only a little.
A hungry giant! Hungry for a big honey taste.
Big taste, honeycomb, big taste.
Honeycomb taste! Yeah, yeah, yeah! It's not small. No, no, no! Honeycomb's got a big honey taste. Big, big crunch for a big, big bite.
Honeycomb cereal. Part of this big, complete breakfast.
Honeycomb's a big, big bite. Yeah!
And remember, it's with 10 nutrients and minerals and vitamins for every growing kid needs. It's funny that honeycomb cereal spot there was from the mid to early 80s, and you heard the big guy's voice talking with him there. The actual big guy in that spot was the wrestler Andre the Giant, but sounding quite Russian, I guess, in that spot. That was not his voice. We've got more coming up on the program. I cannot talk about today. I wish I could, but every Friday night I'm busy right up into Friday night, and during the day on Friday I'm unable to watch much television because we're busy, and I have not been able to see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier television series, Marvel show, which premiered on Disney Plus yesterday. It's the very next show that they've been doing on the small screen. After WandaVision concluded, their next up is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But if you've seen it and you want to call in today, you can talk about it and tell me about it. But some fellow podcasters, we've both discovered each other. There's a podcast that you can listen to called The Nostalgic Pod Blast. You can hear them Check them out on YouTube and on fistfulofradio.com and on their website, the nostalgicpodblast.com. I'm going to be recording with those great guys over at the Nostalgic Podblast on Sunday, which is tomorrow, for an upcoming for their live. It's going to be they broadcast live on Sunday, so I'll be with them talking about pop culture and talking about nostalgia on the radio and how we're all of a like mind of certain things. And I want to thank my buddy Chance Bartels for making that happen, being on with the Nostalgic Pod Blast. So catch that tomorrow. Just go to their website and check out their schedule and see when that's going to be on. And you can listen and call in and catch me over there at the Nostalgic Pod Blast. But we're creeping up to our first break, and we're going to hear today from, of course, Pat McCormick and the golden rage of TV. And I think today, what is he talking about today? It's we're doing something interesting with Pat, because Pat is now in his mid-season break with his Golden Rage of TV segments that he does. So we're actually doing what television shows and classic shows of the time did when they were kind of on hiatus. We're in reruns of the Golden Rage of TV, but that's fine because not everybody heard all of them that we did play. And I think today it's going to be the Phil Silvers Show or Sergeant Bilko. I need to check and see, but that's coming up after the break. You'll hear from the Golden Rage of TV and Pat McCormick. Big shout out to him out there and on the West Coast there. So we've got that coming up too, and then we'll flash the audience at the bottom of the next hour, and I've got the what some critics are talking about. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We've got a report from Josh Weiss from sci-fi.com. Several critics have weighed in and talking about the premiere of it coming up. And I've got a story, too, from Fox News. Some Reddit users have been reminiscing lately about toys that would be considered too dangerous today. How did we ever grow up playing with some of these toys that I'm going to talk about coming up later on in the program? You know, lawn darts and some of the others. We're going to talk about that. And Pepsi launches its first giant new flavor of cola in 5 years. We got that coming up. And a classic actor passed away this week that we're all, at least I am, I'm a huge fan of his work. Yaphet Kotto passed away from, he played in Alien and a lot of other movies, and Live and Let Die with James Bond. All of that, and scientists want to store a lunar ark on the moon. We've got that mind expansion segment coming up too. It's BK on the Air.
We'll return after these messages.
In the news, a big summit meeting. They were supposed to be discussing economic problems, but President Reagan and 6 other world leaders also used this week's meeting to get to know each other. We'll be back with a summit in Canada in the news.
Sponsored by the many fine products of General Foods.
Time for delicious Super Sugar Crisp, kids.
Sugar Bear, flying monkeys.
Stealing my cereal isn't fair, so I'll turn into Super Bear. It takes Super Bear claws to climb Monkey Mountain and rescue Super Sugar Crisp from evil King Coco Monkey.
Super Bear! I want that delicious cereal!
Have a Super Bear growl instead. Growl!
Now we can have post-Super Sugar Crisp cereal as part of this nutritious breakfast.
Can't monkey around with this bear.
Never fear, Smith is here.
When it comes to shows about movies and comic books, heroes and crazy news, I tune into BK on the Air from 10 to noon Saturdays.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. The Phil Silvers Show ran from 1954 to 59, and Car 54, Where Are You? From 1961 to 63. So what did the two shows have in common? Well, there was actor-comedian Joe E. Ross, who played Sergeant Ritzik on Silvers, and then Officer Tootie on Car 54. The same actress, Beatrice Potter, played Ross's loudmouth, domineering wife on both shows. Joe also kept his trademark catchphrase, "Ooh, ooh," only a bit more sparingly on Car 54. Reportedly, that bit came from Ross being unsure of his lines when Silvers would purposely throw him a curveball on the script by ad-libbing. Of course, Ross's co-star on Car 54 was the legendary Fred Gwynne, who just so happened to make his television debut guest starring on The Phil Silvers Show. So what or who was responsible for these clear connections? Well, that would be the director, writer, and producer, Nat Hiken, who amassed a total of 4 of his 8 Emmys for his efforts on these two classic shows. For BK on the Air, this is Pat McCormick with the Golden Rage of TV.
Thank you, Pat, for that trip into the Golden Rage of TV. As always, we appreciate it. I said earlier in the program that I did not get to see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus yet. I'm going to be watching it today because that's just when I'm going to be able to get to it. It's just scheduling prevents me from watching it on the premiere date. But I understand a lot of critics have a lot of good to say about it.
It feels like it belongs to someone else. That shield represents a lot of things to a lot of people. Symbols are nothing without the women and men that give them meaning. We need someone to inspire us again.
The world's more complicated now.
We're never gonna stop. This world is ours. There's no going back.
It doesn't have to be a war.
It already is.
We can't lose this fight. If we do this, we're gonna do it our own way. So we're partners, co-workers. Not necessarily a team. No. We look damn good, though.
It's out and ready for you to soak up right now on Disney Plus. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the latest Marvel series that's out right now for you to see. After WandaVision wrapped up, and let me just say this about WandaVision. I found it to be probably one of the best things that I've seen on Disney Plus, aside from The Mandalorian, because I love The Mandalorian. That's probably my favorite series, the Star Wars series on Disney Plus. But this is Marvel's go over the Marvel camp. WandaVision wound up being, and I liked WandaVision from the first frame, from the first episode. I knew that if I just watch this, it's going to be an episodic television show. It's going to unfold before our very eyes, and it did. It wound up being fantastic. And critics say The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is ambitious, cerebral, and action-packed. This comes from Josh Weiss at sci-fi.com. After a year of no fresh MCU content, at least in the theater, 2021 is shaping up to be a great time for the Disney's shared comic book mythos, just not so much on the big screen as we originally expected. Just 2 weeks after the conclusion of WandaVision, and we're already on to the next entry in the Marvel Phase 4 of the Marvel Universe, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's set after the events of Avengers Endgame. The new series, created by Malcolm Spellman and directed by Carrie Skolland, is all about Sam Wilson, the Falcon, who's played by Anthony Mackie, and Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, and a wonderful young Mark Hamill lookalike. If you ever really look at photos of Sebastian Stan and Mark Hamill, they do really look like they could be brothers. They're teaming up with Sharon Carter, again played by Emily Van Camp, to save the world. Now, with Steve Rogers taking a much-needed retirement, Sam is next in line to wield Captain America's iconic shield. While Sam doesn't know if he's worthy to follow in Steve's footsteps, a sentiment that absolutely makes him worthy, the U.S. government hopes to fill Rogers' absence with a cap of its own. That's a character named John Walker, who's called the U.S. Agent, played by Wyatt Russell. Meanwhile, Civil War's Baron Zemo, or Zemo as they call him in the movie, Daniel Bruhl, is out of prison now and looking to exterminate superheroes. How is all this going on? We'll have to watch it to find out. While The Falcon and the Winter Soldier doesn't make its streaming debut, it didn't make its streaming debut until yesterday. Here's a couple of the reviews that I've gotten online that are giving it very high marks. From Ed Power at The Telegraph, here's what he says, quote, "The start, at least, is breathtaking. A fight scene set above an epic North African desert. Eye-popping and presumably hideous, expensive. The sequence could have come from any of the Avengers movies. It's as if Disney is trying to reassure fans fretful whether Marvel can successfully transition to television, after the psychedelic charms of WandaVision. It's a bit late for that, so they actually proved it, in my opinion, with WandaVision." So that was from Ed Power from The Telegraph. Here's another review from Matt Purslow from IGN. Quote, If you're a fan of Marvel Comics, this setup may well remind you of Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting's run on the Captain America comic book, specifically when the focus of the series transitioned to Cap supporting characters in the wake of his death. That's a great starting point, and if the Falcon and the Winter Soldier continues on this promising track, then Disney Plus will easily be 2 for 2 on its MCU track record, unquote, talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be seeing it later today. This is the one show that I saw the preliminary trailers on and heard about the premise of it that I was the most looking forward to, because I'm one of the biggest. I'm not going to make any bones about it, and if you heard the show and hear me talking before in the past, my favorite character with Marvel Comics and in comic book history, I've got two favorites. Two of my favorite characters have always been Captain America with Marvel, and I've always been a huge fan of Superman, the Man of Steel, over in the DC Comics universe. So being a Captain America fan, and I really enjoyed Chris Evans' portrayal of the character, I think and wanting there to be a Captain America movie. They made one back in the early 90s, and they had a horrible failed television series in the late 70s, a couple of TV movies and a show for a little while on CBS that they did back in the late 70s with Reb Brown. With nothing against Reb Brown, it was just a poorly produced show that didn't really capture that Captain America spirit and heart that was that character. So when Marvel finally got a hold of got rolling in the cinemas and the theaters and their movie series and their universe with the MCU, and it all started with Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. When they finally get around to making Captain America: The First Avenger, I saw that and I left the theater, and I think if I remember right, I turned right back around and went and watched it again because I was so happy to see them finally bring Captain America to the big screen and do it properly, because he literally is a character. He's a man out of time. He was frozen in the ice and comes back in the present, and he feels out of place, and he deals with that, and they put a lot of that in the movie. And a lot of his villains some of them came from the past to follow him into the future. But when they finally, Joe Johnston brought that film to the audiences with the MCU, I was so glad. It was so well done. The score by Alan Silvestri, his direction, the writing, the portrayal of Captain America by Chris Evans, and everything else. The World War II element. I was hoping they would set it in World War II because that's where he's from. That's the era that he served and grew up in. And they captured the heart of that character with that movie, and it happens to be my favorite MCU movie is Captain America: The First Avenger. I was glad to see them continue with the Captain America. Even if he's not in the show, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you can still, I'm sure, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure you still feel Steve, Captain America's presence in the show. He's probably still all over the show because I'm sure they'll either talk about him or reference back to events. And it's a direct it's a sequel show to his character with these two fellows in it. But it harkens to him, even though he's not there. I'm sure he's there in spirit. Now, the next show that's going to be up after Falcon and the Winter Soldier makes its run complete on Disney Plus from Marvel and the MCU will be Loki, starring Tom Hiddleston, and that will premiere on June the 11th this year. And you think that's too far away? Well, think again, because especially with me and when Alan Sanders and I are talking about it, and some of our friends that are the same age, dates in the future now, they come around really fast. They're like, oh, that's over a year away. I can't wait for that to come out. Well, but now time passes for us just in a snap of a finger and a blink of an eye, because before we know it, it will be here. I remember, case in point, when 2 or 3 years ago when I went to see in the theaters, I went to see Godzilla, King of Monsters, in the current monster universe world of Godzilla and King Kong and all those others. I thought, wow, a new Godzilla movie, Godzilla versus Kong. He's going to fight King Kong in that new film. Well, when they announced that after Godzilla King of the Monsters was out, I'm like, wow, that's over 2.5, 3 years away. Well, we're rolling around to Godzilla versus Kong, which will be out at the end of this month on March the 31st. So we got a lot of movies that are coming out in the theater. I'm not seeing any release dates being pushed back. So I've got a complete list of movies that I care about, that we care about in the genre that we talk about here at BK on Air. I got a complete list of those movies and their release dates coming up. None of them are being delayed again like a lot of them were at first, so I'm going to have that list for you coming up. And we'll reminisce about some toys that Reddit users are reminiscing about, toys that would be considered too dangerous today. How did we ever get by with that? All of that nostalgic geekiness and stuff coming up, speaking on the air.
Hi, I'm Captain America. There's an insidious force that could be hidden right in your own school. Any one of you could be secretly compromised. That's right. I'm talking about head lice. If you feel an itch, don't be afraid. Stand up and be counted a hero. Keep your head held high, and may God bless the United States of America.
Now, back to a guy who'll make you feel really young, mostly because he's so old. It's BK on the air.
Wow, I'm hearing no feedback. Wonderful stuff in the headphones. I'm not used to hearing that here. I think it's like the station. It's like somebody came in and scrubbed the wires in the radio station with some electronic soap and water. It sounds better than it ever has.
Hey,
I love it.
Thanks
Alan Sanders over here.
Yeah, I decided to pop in.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
you know, I didn't want to interrupt your monologue. You were doing so good in that opening.
You're everywhere else. Why not be here too? You know, jeez.
At some point, I get tired.
You're really? Oh, yeah, I think you got tired once at 10 a.m. on a Friday. Once I remember, and that was about it. It lasted for.
But then I
woke
up.
You woke up.
No. What was I going to say?
See, when you turn 50, that happens. I'll remind you again. You go. I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was.
With the station, and I think people are going to be
stations plural for you. Stations.
Well, for your opening comment, I will say this without going too much behind the curtains. There will be consistent improvements being made here.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice. There's always room for improvement, and I love that.
Think about it. We're coming up on our 75th birthday.
Yeah, this station's it's going to be 75 years old this year, and that's incredible.
So sometimes along the way, you put technology in place that was cutting edge 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's the idea that if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But there's better, faster, more efficient ways to do things today that didn't exist 20 years ago. And sometimes you just have to say, yeah, it works, but let's go ahead and do it better.
Yeah, and then remember when we found that room that had been walled up here at the station? Because we've been on the air since 1946, and we found that 110-year-old guy in there doing things with these little World War II headphones on, and we're like, "What are you doing in here?" He's like, "I'm working. I've been here since 1946, and everybody's forgotten about me and stuff."
Why don't you use a battery-operated drill? A what? A battery what?
Battery what? So technology is great. Now, I'm sure you heard me talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the show as you were waiting to come.
Yes.
So neither one of us have gotten to see that
nope.
yet.
In fact, I can tell you for a fact, the wife and I have a date night set aside to when we get our or maybe date afternoon. It just depends. But we are both going to be watching that today.
Well, my wife and I have a date night set aside too. We're going to do something else first, then we'll eventually get to that. Yeah, you're right.
Look,
770-364-250 is our number.
Dinner. I'll make dinner.
I'm not talking about dinner. Well, maybe.
What else are you going to be making?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you when we go to the break. Somebody's on the air right now. It's BK on the air. Hello, who's this?
Hey, this is Valerie Holt.
Hey, Valerie, how you doing, lady?
Hey, lady.
What's going on?
Was channeling your Jerry Lewis this one?
Yeah, all the time, as goofy as we are. Yeah.
Listen, I heard something this week that I thought would be so interesting to you two kings of nostalgia here.
Oh, you did? What'd you hear?
I was watching a biography of Lucille Ball.
Oh, yeah, great.
So later in her career, you know, they had the studio, Desi Lou, where so many great shows were filmed. So sort of later in her career, she had already taken over the helm of Desi Lou. Ricky was suffering from, Desi, not Ricky, it's on the show, but Desi was suffering from alcoholism, and she had taken over the studio. So
that's true, and one of the shows they produced or are responsible for was Star Trek. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I was going to tell you is that whoever, the producers of Star Trek brought the idea to the studio, and the other board members or powers that be at the studio said no way. Like they said, no, we're not doing Star Trek. And it was that and Mannix. Mannix was the other show. So the other board members said no to Star Trek, no to Mannix. And she went out on a limb as the only person that stepped up for Star Trek and Mannix, and she went against the grain, went against everybody, and they did it. And, of course, the rest is history. But I thought, who knew that Lucy was responsible for Star Trek.
That's right. In a way,
We did.
In a way, well, of course we did because we have
We're
no life.
we're
We know
nerds.
Anyway. But thanks for telling everybody that, Valerie, because it's true. It's very true.
Now, where was this biography? Was it on Netflix or something? Is it something that's streaming people could go watch? Because I would love to see a documentary on Lucille Ball. I know a lot about her, but I've never actually watched anything that kind of documented her career.
You know what? Lucy is my favorite comedian, actress, whatever, of all time. It's been my favorite show since I was little. I've watched tens of thousands of hours of Lucy. And so I read her memoirs or her biography years and years ago. And so then I watched that the other night. So I watched everything about her. And I thought I knew everything about her. But that was just interesting to me. So I just thought you.
Well, that's what I was asking. Where did you watch it? Was it a Netflix thing that I could?
No, it was. It was on the Reels channel because I watched.
Okay.
I watched the documentary about Golden Girls, and it followed the documentary about the behind the scenes about Golden Girls.
And I think that's Reels as in REELZ is how you spell the name
Gotcha.
of the channel. Reels. Lucy was funny. You know how I discovered Lucille Ball is as a kid we watched syndicated shows in the 70s, and I watched her show called The Lucy Show, the very next show she did by herself when she was divorced and living with Vivian with their kids and stuff. That's actually the first Lucy show that I got to see. I saw that long before I Love Lucy, and I discovered I Love Lucy later as a kid and learned to love that show too, and discovered it and really thought it was great. I prefer the Lucy Show only because that's the first one that I first watched growing up, which was a great show as well. I think anything that she did was really considered really good. And something else about Lucille Ball too is another comedian that I loved on television, as you know if you listen to the show, Valerie. I love Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason and the Honeymooners and everything that he did, which is another great show in the 50s. I thought they only got to do one thing together once, and I think it was a television movie or something like that, a little comedy thing they did together. But they had planned to do something together, either a show or a movie. Jackie and Lucy did, and they never did get to do it. And how cool would that have been for them to team up for a television series?
Oh yeah, super great, talented comic talent.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in and sharing your Lucy story. I appreciate it, Valerie, as always.
All right, y'all have a good week.
All right,
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. It was good, and it is weird that watching the Lucy show, my mom said, there's another show called I Love Lucy she was on. You should try to check that one out. And I did watch it. I'm like, yeah, another classic TV show. I think in all she had 4 television shows where she started, and we'll run through them here. But somebody else is calling in just like Valerie did. Hey, it's BK on the air. Who's this?
This is Barbara.
Barbara, did you call in to add to the Lucille Ball Lucy conversation?
Well, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
She was one of my favorites, of course, who didn't love her. But another one of my favorites was Walter Matthau.
Walter was a funny guy. He certainly was.
And I met him personally at Disneyland.
You did at Disneyland in California?
Yes.
Wow.
I had read about him. He had remarried, and I heard that he had a small child. Well, he was standing by the Dumbo ride.
Okay, right.
Got about 10 seconds.
Yeah, got about 10 seconds. Coming up.
He was trying not to be noticed.
Oh, it's hard for him, as tall as he was and recognizable, I guess.
Yeah, all he had on this floppy hat. But when he turned sideways, I said, that's him.
That's Walter Matthau. Thanks, Barbara. Always good to hear from you. Talk to you later.
Okay.
See ya. Bye-bye. Walter Matthau. I thought he was great in Dennis the Menace, that later film where he played Mr. Wilson. Fantastic. It's BK on there. We'll do more talk when we come back.
We'll return after these announcements.
Give it up! Podcast Magazine presents the Hot 50 Countdown.
Hi, it's Rob Actis, host of the podcast magazine Hot 50 Countdown. Join me as I count them down from 50 to number 1, the top 50 podcasts in the land as determined by you, the podcast fans. From true crime, society and culture, self-help, health and fitness, science, and every podcast category in between. The Hot 50 Countdown is here.
Hi, this is Jackie Gleason. Maybe you think you can't make money writing, but 10 million Americans have proved you can. What they wrote is their name, right here on an application form for the payroll savings plan. All of a sudden, boom, the United States savings bonds start rolling in, with money saved painlessly out of your paycheck. Before you know it, a nest egg appears. Try it. Be a writer. How sweet it is.
Oh. Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. We got a lot coming up on the program today, but we're running a little behind on our regular segments. But it is time.
You know what? We always defer to callers. I love having people join.
And I don't have a set. I'm not a regimental stuffy news program.
This isn't Bartow's Morning News.
This isn't. Yeah, this isn't any. Well, it's the news I like to talk about. I do some.
I mean,
some
yeah,
news
but
on
it's
here.
not. It's very free flow.
I kind of let my hair down, even though I don't have.
Got to
long
grow
hair.
it out first.
I don't have long hair, but my hair doesn't grow long; it grows out. My hair grows like if I let my hair grow, it'll grow like Kenneth Branagh. It'll go like out wide, like not long in the back.
I'm a walking chia pet with my hair really short when it first until it gets heavy enough to lay down. Yeah.
I'm just glad I still got it. I got my hair.
Me too.
That's great.
Can I tell you that? Me too.
We do news on this program, but it's stuff like this when we flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre.
Hey, guess what? I've got the first news.
We do news.
We're going to go to California and
which place you ought to be and load up the truck and move to Beverly.
If it's what I think this is, I was going to mock them and say, you got to be kidding me, because I heard this earlier in the week, and then I just heard this exact same advice or this exact same process is going to be mandated at Six Flags. Let's get into it.
This is ridiculous. I'm getting sick of it.
California theme parks preparing to reopen. By the way, Florida's been open. We're getting ready to open, but California getting ready to reopen for COVID-19 pandemic, being urged to take extra steps to curb the risks associated with common roller coaster riding activity, screaming. Yes.
Really?
The California Attractions and Parks Association, the trade group representing the state's theme parks, said parks preparing to open in April should take extra steps to make sure guests aren't spreading COVID-19 by screaming on a roller coaster.
Really? You got to be
Do you know, first of all, what did the CDC say about being outdoors versus indoors as far as safety is concerned?
Yeah.
Didn't they always tell us outdoors is okay?
Doesn't that apply here? Outside. Outside.
Now, I understand Disney World has Space Mountain, but outside of that, how many of your roller coasters are in tight, packed quarters?
Well, again, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Face covering usage and or modifications to seat loading patterns will also be required on amusement park rides to mitigate the effects of shouting, said the CAPA. Additionally, on rides, guests generally face in one direction, and if the rides are meant for you to be able to look at each other, you can't. You'll have to ride all facing the same way.
See why that says that's from the quite laughable department today is what that's from. Listen, let me ask this. Is it okay if I talk? Can I talk to somebody? Can I say anything?
No. Not if you're going to. No.
Can I say?
No.
But,
in fact, don't even look at somebody. It might get transmitted that way.
Well, listen. Can I exhale somewhere far away, and then can I come over and inhale like this and talk as I inhale? Or
you know how
is
hard that is
all
to
right?
talk breathing in?
Well, that may be the only way I can do it.
No, that's hard.
It's ridiculous.
It reminds me, there was a play. I can't remember the name of the play, but it was a speech impediment. One of the girls had never learned how to speak breathing out. Had to speak breathing in.
Really? I've never heard of that.
She always talk like this.
I'll have to look.
And I'm like, the actress had to learn to do that. And I was like, it was so funny to see her do that. She's like, I don't know what to do.
Sound like kind of like the aliens on Galaxy Quest. I got the next news.
We are so very happy.
From UPI, police in Michigan. Oh, it's your home state, Michigan.
What's wrong with her?
Police in Michigan said a $1,500 reward is being offered for the safe return of one of the town's most popular residents. You know, want to take a guess who it is? A Ronald McDonald statue.
Okay.
$1,500 reward. The Woodhaven, where's Woodhaven in Michigan? You ever heard of Woodhaven?
I don't know. I don't know.
The Woodhaven Police Department said the statue, which was seated on a bench behind the McDonald's in town, was taken at some point this past Friday night or early Saturday morning. Police said the bench was damaged in the theft. Police are asking anyone with information on the Clowns McDonald's statue whereabouts to contact the department. Well, let me ask this: if they get him back, because I've seen little Ronald McDonald statues at some of them. Some of them are standing there. Some of them are sitting at the bench where you can take a picture with his arm around you. Are they going to put a mask on him? Just out of looks, just to make it look interesting and compliant and wonderful, being total compliance.
Hey, I've seen where they've, just to be cute, people that have like animal heads on the walls will be putting the masks over that just as a visual reminder.
They have some on the couple of little dinosaurs at the Tellus I noticed from last week.
Seriously?
They had some masks on one of the little small statues just to be funny up front. You didn't see that? I think you're still laughing about the Disneyland masks at the park.
No, what I was
aren't you?
laughing at when we brought up Galaxy Quest is that moment when Tim Allen's in the car and the girl is like, what's the matter with her? Like, well, her communicator is broken. She goes, ah! He's like, okie dokie.
Yeah.
I just had that pop in my head when you went Galaxy Quest.
And by the way, there's still talk, even for Sigourney Weaver lately, about Galaxy Quest being a television series somewhere. So that's still out there running around.
You know, it was set to go until Alan Rickman died.
Yeah, I think they could still do it, probably, and they're still talking about it. And that's exactly what Sigourney says. She goes, he's gone, so there obviously won't be that wonderful Alan Rickman element. And who knows, would he have even done it? I mean, I'm sure that he hadn't signed on for anything yet.
Dollar signs fix a lot of those problems.
They do fix things, don't they? We've noticed if you flash some money in front of our face, we'll just do about anything, won't we?
Yes.
Short of, no, we'll do that too.
No,
I was thinking about
in
something.
fact, why don't you just suggest it? I'll let you know if it crosses the line or not.
Yeah, because even if it's horrible, like, would you do this for $10 billion? I'm like, and part of me would say no, but I'm like, if I do it anyway, I'd have so much money I wouldn't care, and I could pay people to forget it.
Right.
So I could get it erased, and I could cancel culture it out of history.
Hey,
and
I've
people
often
would forget
said,
about it.
if you pay me enough, I can pay for the therapy to fix myself after. So let's go for it.
If you need any.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I've got the next news. A Georgia man who was expecting his final paycheck from a former employer said the money instead arrived in the form of 500 pounds of oil-covered pennies dumped in his driveway in the middle of the night.
Ew, oil-covered pennies? What kind of oil?
Wait a minute, 500 pounds. Ugh. How much is that? Andreas Flatten said he submitted his 2 weeks' notice in writing in November, and Miles Walker, the owner of Walker Luxury Auto Works in Peachtree City, had a noticeably negative reaction. Flatten, who said he left the job due to a toxic work environment, he may have been right, said he was still owed $915, which the owner told him he would have delivered in January. He said the owner accused him of damages when he called to inquire about the check not arriving at his home, so he contacted the Georgia Department of Labor. Flatten said that the money then showed up as 500 pounds of oil-covered pennies. Wow. Walker said he couldn't recall if he dumped the pennies at Flatten's house. Flatten said the pennies are currently being stored in his garage while he works on cleaning them so that they could at least be cashed in.
See, here's the thing. It doesn't elaborate what kind of oil it is, and is it oil?
Well, if it was an auto company like on Peachtree Motors, probably motor oil. But the fact that he said he left because of a toxic environment, and your boss sends you your final paycheck that way, I'd say it was toxic.
Yeah. Don't be a smart aleck too, and try to be mad at like if you have to pay a speeding ticket or a fine, because there's been a couple of instances where people try to do that with pennies, and they deliver them in payment to try to pay
walk in with the wheelbarrow.
And
there you go.
And government officials, they don't like that. They don't like that little statement you're trying to make very much, and they'll let you know about it.
They lack a sense of humor, perhaps?
They don't have a sense of humor. That's right. That's why I don't listen to this show. I got the next news. And look, it's a St. Patty's Day leftover here.
Oh, good.
We got time to squeeze in one more here. A New York State business is seeking Guinness World Record recognition for a 1,100 square foot shamrock painted in its parking lot this week. The Milleridge Inn in Oyster Bay, Long Island, said the giant shamrock was designed to be larger than the concrete shamrock that has been in place in O'Neill, Nebraska parking lot since 1993. Apparently there's another one. The O'Neill shamrock is billed as the world's largest, but there's no current Guinness World Record for the world's largest shamrock, the record-keeping organization said. The Milleridge Inn and the town of Oyster Bay officials says they previously broke O'Neill's record with a 1,000 square foot shamrock painted on the inn's parking lot in March of 2018, but they did not seek a Guinness record. Evidence from the newest shamrock is being submitted to Guinness for official recognition. I think it's great. Doesn't Guinness and shamrocks and St. Patty's Day just go together? Isn't that the way you do it?
Yeah,
good old Guinness.
Guinness is a product of Ireland.
That's right, and so is 4% of me. By the way,
really,
I did the told you we did the
you did the neighborhood or whatever.
No, we did Ancestry.com. Is where they actually take your saliva, a sample, and you send it in, and they do a DNA test. Well, that way there's no doubt of who you are and where you're from. And I think I'd have to look at my chart again, but I'm something like 4% Irish, 2% other region, and the biggest percentage is for me is Great Britain.
Great Britain,
it's
the UK.
England, so
well, I'd like to do
crazy.
it, but I've also heard you should do it with one or two other companies because you'll find out you might end up with differing results, and then you have to say, well, how is that possible?
Well, I didn't know that either. And you can do it for your dog now too. You can find out what country your dog's from.
I need to know where they immigrated from.
But you know what? We're going to do it just out of fun because I know my dog's part Plot Hound. But I out of curiosity, I'm not doing it for any other reason other than I just want to know. I'm curious what other breeds
in there
she's in other than Plot Hound, because I know I can tell. I'm guessing, and I'm going to see how right we are. I think that she might have some Greyhound mixed in there and some Shepherd, some kind of Shepherd, German Shepherd maybe, because that's the other two looks of her body. She's not a full Plot Hound. You can tell that she has the beautiful tiger stripe brindle color to her, and I guess the temperament of her. But I found out that she was her breed. Plot Hounds were bred to hunt bears. That's a pretty big order for a dog, is hunt a bear down. Huh. I guess they're supposed to lead you to the bear, then the dogs go, okay, now you see the bear, go ahead and shoot it. We're not going to attack that thing.
We did the hard part of finding it. Now
We're going to step back and let you do your job. You're the master. It's BK on the air. We got one more news flash after the top of the hour when we come back.
Have you ever tried calling one of those phone lines you see advertised on TV? You never know who's going to be on the other end.
What do you think I am, some sort of dumpy housewife?
I look like Robert Redford and Paul Newman.
I'm a doctor. What about you?
Would you really want to talk to those people? My friends and I call 976-4444, the only real adult party line in Atlanta.
If I were human, I believe my response would be, go to hell.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. Starting the second hour of the show, as we do here every Saturday. Man, this just goes by so fast, doesn't it, when we do something we love.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It really. I know we say it all the time, and maybe people get tired of it, but I cannot, to this day, believe how quickly we go through 5 hours every Saturday.
It is. Every Saturday morning we do, you and I both back to back. Well, we've got one more news. Like that.
Do we?
Yeah.
Yes. there we go.
To go. Hey, it's not BK on there.
Apparently, it was still on break. So it was like, whoa!
Unless there's a mistake, it's not BK on there.
All right, here we go. And it's from my friends over in the UK. A British man who decided to attempt a Guinness World Record while in COVID-19 lockdown captured the title for fastest time to drink a Capri Sun pouch. I didn't know that there was something like this. 16.65 seconds.
Wow, I guess that's fast. Aren't they kind of small, though, with a straw? I guess plastic. Did you know, let me look. I've never had one. I have never drank a Capri Sun.
Really? Even when they were the big thing in the 80s?
But I
late 70s?
I wasn't really a kid anymore. I know they give them to a lot of kids, but I never had one.
I had Capri Suns all the time because you could put them in a lunchbox or a bag, and it was squishy enough that it wasn't like a can where it would smash your lunch. You know, my mom would send us sometimes with like a can of Hawaiian Punch or a can of lemonade or something. And when Capri Suns came out, they were squishable. Like they wouldn't, and so because of that, not only could you make your bag smaller and it was lighter, but it wouldn't mash your sandwich up.
Well, I have gotten sun in Capri while vacationing, but I've never had
that may be something
Capri
a little
Sun.
different.
So that it's probably better for me too. A little
very
vitamin
good
D.
for you, vitamin D. Declan Evans, age 20 of Lincoln, said he started to look for records to break while in lockdown during the summer and discovered Guinness had set the benchmark at 18 seconds for downing a Capri Sun. But it had to be officially attempted. Evans said he performed several trial runs to master his technique and ended up with 16.65 seconds. Evans said he is looking forward to the end of the pandemic so he can attempt outdoor records such as fastest time to run a mile while carrying someone on a stretcher.
And that's it for the news for this Saturday. But are we set for the? Oh no, it's coming up. Let's go ahead and do it now. We're set up for the channel Star Wars. Are we ready?
Yes.
Bad feeling about this.
Oh, I know. I do too. Here we go.
Greetings and welcome to Star Wars Extra. Star Wars Then, Star Wars Now, Star Wars Forever. Bringing you the latest Star Wars galaxy. I'm your host, Steve Lamar.
Hello there.
This week, Hasbro announced the virtual Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest, where they will be featuring new products for a majority of their toy lines, Star Wars being one of the most notable collections. Star Wars enthusiasts are encouraged to join in discussions with members of the Hasbro marketing and design teams about the Black Series and the Vintage Collection action figure lines. The virtual Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest takes place April 9th at 11 a.m. on the Hasbro Pulse website Fan Fest page and on the Hasbro Pulse YouTube channel. Also this week, the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum in the UK took to social media, looking for skilled costume makers to assist in helping recreate the costume of the bounty hunter Bosk.
I smell your fear, Wookiee.
The museum shared photos of the lizard-like head, stating they were also in possession of his arms, feet, and blaster rifle, which had all been used in The Empire Strikes Back. The post also expressed their desire for talented individuals to assist in recreating a nearly identical outfit for their display. If interested, the Museum of Film and Sci-Fi can be contacted through their Facebook page.
Commence primary ignition.
And lastly, as Star Wars Extra reported earlier this week, Genndy Tartakovsky's Star Wars Clone Wars animated series is coming to Disney+. A big part of that project includes the bounty hunter Dirge. When Dave Filoni's The Clone Wars series was introduced, Dirge was to have been the first bounty hunter shown in the series, but was dropped in favor of Cad Bane. Now, Dirge is set to make a comeback, appearing in upcoming stories of both the Dr. Aphra series along with the War of the Bounty Hunters comics. Since the latter is about Boba Fett, fans can only speculate and hope that Dirge will make his way to the Book of Boba Fett. Only time will tell.
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral.
That's all the time we have for now. Don't forget to visit us on the Star Wars Extra YouTube channel. And go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. Tune back next week for all the latest and greatest in Star Warsing. For Star Wars Extra, I'm Steve Lamar. And now back to BK on the Air.
Who is this? What's your operating number?
Thank you for the Channel Star Wars report. I appreciate having those guys on here every Saturday. And I was talking earlier when you were running your errand that I think of obviously my favorite show so far on Disney Plus has been The Mandalorian. It's just the one that I find the most fun and entertaining and well done to watch. But I loving WandaVision, loving I say all, but there's only been one official. There's, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a television show from the MCU, and we had Daredevil and a lot of the other Defenders on Netflix. But there's actually really only been, if I'm not mistaken, so far, well, now with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, 2 Marvel shows made exclusively for Disney Plus.
2 Marvel and 1 Star Wars.
And I'm loving everything. If everything is along the quality that it has been so far, we're in for a great ride. I think it's going to be fantastic so far because I loved the finale of WandaVision. I loved the show anyway, and the way it wound up, leaving things open that obviously if they're not going to do another WandaVision show, which they haven't announced, I don't think they plan to do one, but some questions must now maybe be answered in films.
It's going to be a perfect bridge to film. Exactly.
Because the Vision, the one that they produced and manufactured and put back together on the outside of Wanda's fake facade world that she made is the White Vision, who was in the comic book too. I'm still convinced. Now, here's my theory, and it's not anything groundbreaking because I'm sure maybe everybody thought this. They shared a moment. The fake Vision inside the fake Vision and
the two Visions.
Yeah, the 2 Visions. They shared a moment, and I think he uploaded himself into this White Vision, and now he exists on the outside, and Vision is back. I think, and that's what he's going to look like. Is what I think is going to happen. I mean, Elizabeth Olsen has already signed on to do Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. She is in the
I'm
film,
good with that. And it's kind of funny, the ironic twist
up
behind this is we start off WandaVision with a black and white world, but we have the color Vision, and then we end with a colored world and technically a black and white
and a
Vision.
Colorless Vision.
Right.
You're right. Has just maybe a hint of electronic blue to his eyes is really the only color that's on him. So.
Right.
But it's very amazing on how that show wound up. And if
that dude must love being put into makeup.
Who, Paul? He does. I mean, he had a little. He didn't have a lot on. He even had a little face makeup in Solo.
It's all over his face, his hands, everywhere that's exposed. I mean, but you know what? He's so good. He is so good at that character and just a good actor because he was a great bad guy in Solo. He was one of the bright spots for me.
He was also very good as the Archangel in the movie Michael. Did you ever see that? Not Michael. Was it called Michael?
Well, it was called Michael.
No, it was called
Legion.
It was called Legion.
Legion. Okay.
Legion. He played. Was the end of the angels were coming back and there was a baby going to be born and the kid from
I didn't see
Fast
that.
and Furious was in it.
But that was
he
a
plays
television
an angel
show,
in it.
right?
No, Legion. The Legion was a film. The first one was a film. Legion
not
was
seen it.
Legion was another television series that had nothing to do with this movie.
Okay.
But it was about all the angels getting together, and for some reason they had to kill this baby that was born because there was something weird going on in heaven or something. Yeah, it was odd. Speaking on there, we'll be back.
Fruit juicy. Hey, how about a nice Hawaiian punch?
Sure.
You taste 7 kinds of fruit in Hawaiian punch. 7 kinds of fruit in Hawaiian punch. Hawaiian punch is made with 7 kinds of fruit for a one-of-a-kind fruit taste.
Hawaiian Punch Fruit Punch with 10% real fruit juice for a real fruit juicy taste.
Hawaiian punch is made with 7 kinds of fruit
For a one-of-a-kind fruit taste.
Clean. I mean really clean. And it holds any set I want.
New beer-enriched shampoo, Body on Tap, gives your hair super body, super hold.
Brewed with 1/3 real beer.
Wow.
But don't drink it. Just shampoo. Whether I roll it, pin it, curl it, or blow it dry. It gives my hair super body, super hold.
And the shine of your life. It's the beer shampoo that does it in 3 bodybuilding formulas.
That's body.
On Tap.
This is William Shatner, and I would like to invite you to take a journey with me into the 21st century. So take the next few minutes and listen very closely. You'll be amazed at what you hear. Okay?
Let's get into this day in history. Today is March the 20th. We do it every Saturday with Geek on the Air on this day in history. Point out the stuff that I think is fascinating. It's not everything that happened on this day, but it's stuff that I like to point out. Alan, in 1345. Let's go way back for this one. In the year 1345.
That'd be back.
Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars conjunction happened, and they thought it was going to be. They thought it was the cause of the plague epidemic back then.
That was the end of the second age of
1345. And back in 1930, on this day in history, the American fast food restaurant chain, one of them, is founded on this day. It's one of the more popular ones too. Do you want to take a guess which one was founded on this day?
McDonald's.
You're close. I'm
Burger
sure there's
King?
one built by a McDonald's somewhere. Now, this one's more kind of a, you lick your fingers over this one. Well, you could before the pandemic.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
KFC is founded by Colonel Harlan Sanders in North Corbin, Kentucky on this day. And I've been eating there ever since, well, not since 1930, because I wasn't alive. But if I was alive in the 30s, I would have eaten at KFC. 1964, on this day in history, the Pink Panther opens in theaters. And talk about theaters and movies opening, I'm going to have the whole list for you coming up later on to celebrate the theaters this year. It's 2021. It's time to go back to the movie theaters, and I'll have a complete list. On this day in history, 1973, NBC premieres the television show Police Story. Comes out on this day. That was a great cop, kind of one of the first early gritty, realistic kind of cop shows. I think it was kind of like the Twilight Zone, because I think Police Story was a different story every episode, different characters, but it was about the police and police characters. And Gene Roddenberry from Star Trek wrote for Police Story.
Wow.
1981 on this day in history. Why do we do 1981? Because that was 40
years ago.
Billboard on this week. Number 1 on the charts was Keep On Loving You by REO Speedwagon.
No, Foreigner.
Or Foreigner, if you ask Alan, which one is which, because
or
Yes.
Yes.
They both sound alike. No.
Or Toto.
No. Not Yes, no. 1982, on this day in history, I Love Rock and Roll went to number 1 by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. And it was number 1 for 7 weeks.
One of those songs that is so good and so basic and simple. Kids today that hear it for the first time go, that's a great song. I mean, I don't know anybody that hears that song that doesn't
don't like it.
That's a good song.
Yeah. On this day in history, in 2012, the Disney movie John Carter records one of the largest losses in cinema history with a $200 million+ write-down that Disney had to incur because of that movie. And I will still, to my dying day, not understand why. Because I thought John Carter was a fantastic movie based on an Edgar Rice Burroughs book series that he wrote and a Marvel comic series, John Carter. Fantastic character, fantastic premise about a man who winds up on Mars from Earth, and it was so well done, great special effects. I still don't know why John Carter was not a hit. Disney ignored it. I think they tried to bury the film. They didn't believe in it.
I think the problem was that was one of those films that suffered from poor marketing. It
Poor
didn't
marketing.
know. It told you it was going to be one kind of movie, and then it ended up not being. And word got around it's not the movie you think, and people just say, "I just won't watch it."
And I think that it was. I think it went over budget. It might have went over budget too. I think, but it was. You saw it, right?
I have not seen John Carter.
I love John. You need to watch John Carter. You need to see it. Number one, it was named wrong. I mean, why did they just call the movie John Carter? Sure, that's who he is. But the actual title should have been John Carter, Warlord of Mars, or John Carter of Mars is kind of what it was known to be as. If you heard the movie, you're like, what are you going to see? Oh, there's a movie out called John Carter. What's it about? I can't tell from the title. It's just about a guy named John. I don't know. What's a drama?
They were hoping that name was more in the public consciousness, like Iron Man, like Thor.
I don't think
like
it was.
The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, we know that. You don't have to call it anything else.
Yeah, no.
I had never read a John Carter story. I didn't know anything about it. In fact, I had to learn, well, where did this was based on like some of the early sci-fi, so that's why it's got sort of that early sci-fi.
You are much more familiar with the other Edgar Rice Burroughs creation, which was Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. The other guy, yeah. Well, I love John Carter. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a fantastic sci-fi movie. Perfect, beautiful special effects, and great direction and a great movie score. Birthdays today. It's Jerry Reed's birthday, American country music singer Jerry Reed, who died in 2008. I loved Jerry Reed. He Snowman, Smoking the Bandit, all of his hits that he had.
Didn't he have the song about me and my wife where they split it right down the middle, but they gave her the bigger half?
Yeah, that's I got the gold mine, she got the shaft. Is the name of the song. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
we split it right down the middle, but gave her the bigger half.
She got the bigger half. If you listen closely, and by the way, I'm friends with Sadina Reed, Jerry's daughter. I talked to her on Facebook and social media, and we may have her on the program sometime in the future. But Jerry Reed, to me, invented a genre of music. If you listen, go back and listen to a lot of his songs if you're not familiar with him. Jerry Reed, sure, headed toward and hinted toward country, that really rockabilly sounding country. But his country music was very funky sounding. So I always said Jerry Reed did funk tree music. He mixed funk with country, and when you listen to his songs, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because they are funky country songs. And I love that. I have to be careful saying that too, by the way. It'll slip the tongue.
Yeah.
It's also today's birthday. Carl Reiner's birthday is today. He died in 2020. Television writing legend, producing legend. Worked a lot with Steve Martin. And on your show of shows and television for years.
And Mel Brooks.
And Mel Brooks.
Best friends.
And today is also Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers' birthday today. We lost him in 2003. I keep forgetting that Fred Rogers passed away. Some of these people, I forget that they're dead. I don't know why, because they've just been with us so long. And I remember maybe reporting the story that they passed away. But I have since forgotten that they had passed away.
For those in our audience who are confused, Bob Newhart is still with us.
Bob Newhart is still alive. That was so funny when Eric called in that day and said, Bob, you guys are talking about Bob Newhart. And
every time he wants to call and correct us as if somehow he knows everything.
We have to play the Bob Newhart
We just remind him, Bob Newhart is still alive.
You guys are wrong. I'm like, well, you messed up and told us, Bob. Well, now he's going to call. You know why he did that. And let's all take a moment and celebrate someone else's birthday today. Just get this image in your mind. Today is also Kathy Ireland's birthday.
Ooh.
Kathy Ireland. Oh, yeah.
Tried acting. Not so good.
No. As an actress, she's a great model. Yeah, so it is National Something Day every day, and today is no exception. Today is World Flour Day today, for something we can't cook without. Thank goodness for flour.
Oh, flour.
Yeah,
I was thinking
flour.
Like plant.
No, Flour. Flour Day.
I'm glad you correct, or at least added context.
I love the scene from Sanford and Son where Fred's having a lady over visiting him. And she's in the kitchen fixing him something to eat because he hadn't had a home-cooked meal in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "You excuse me, I'm going to go back in here and help her, and I'm going to flour these thighs." He goes back to the kitchen. He's like,
talking about chicken?
Flour these thighs.
Oh,
yeah.
what a great little double entendre.
Today is also National Proposal Day today. How about that?
Does it have to be a marriage proposal, or can I just propose anything?
Didn't say marriage. Would you like to propose something right now?
Yeah, I propose we continue on till the noontime hour.
Okay. And by the way, I'm going to let you.
That?
I'll accept that. I'll second that motion. Right. I'm going to let you remind everybody too later on the broadcast day of where they can hear us at the end next Friday, which is kind of cool. Woo-hoo. As if they can't get enough of us already, on the.
But they'll be able to see us, which would be a little weird for us. We're going to have to actually comb our hair and stuff.
Oh, are we? Yeah. Okay, I forgot.
Remember they asked me like, now how are you guys going to dress? I'm like, well, I'm not going to wear a tie.
Like,
if that's
clothes,
what you're asking.
Clothes.
Yeah, they were like, well, we just kind of want to know. I'm like, I get it. We're representing Tellus.
Mrs. BK won't let me go out and know. She knows I'm doing this. She goes, okay, it's time to do some manscaping before you go out. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Do the ears, the nose, whatever you need to do. All right,
I will be getting a haircut this week, so it's nice and all the stuff you're supposed to do.
It looks fine.
Yeah, it needs to be kind of cleaned up.
Your hair right now kind of looks like Han Solo's did in Return of the Jedi. If you ever look at Harrison Ford in Return of the Jedi, it's that early '80s, a little longer, a little more natural looking. I guess not quite as short. So you're kind of Jedi-ish. Return of the Jedi-ish.
Han Solo. I'll take it. I'll take the rakish Solo.
Today is when we were bachelors. I love this one, and I can still eat it if it's at a restaurant. National Ravioli Day today on March the 20th, which is great.
It was such a treat to actually try authentic ravioli instead of Chef Boyardee. It was a big world of difference.
Yeah, but as when we were kids, we loved the canned kind. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
we didn't know any better.
In a pinch, I'll still eat it. The wife's gone on a camping expedition. I'm all by myself. Do I dirty the kitchen or just? There's some Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
I only dirty one plate, one fork. I'm done.
But as an adult, I jazz it up a little bit. I'll pour a little bit of ragu or something, spaghetti sauce in there with it just to give it a kick, and also put Parmesan cheese on it too. That helps.
I will sprinkle a little cayenne pepper just to give it a little bit of a warmth to the mouth. I like it a little.
What does it give? What does it give?
A little bit of warmth to the mouth.
Okay, good.
Oh,
good. Spaghetti-O. And today, of course, as everybody knows, it's March the 2nd, and it's the first day of...
March the what?
March the 20th.
There we go.
What did I say?
Second.
Oh, I just didn't add the zero.
No, you didn't. It's like, wait, did we just go back in time? Oh, we get St. Patty's Day again. I get to drink more green beer.
There's one I can fix and post for the podcast.
But none of this will make sense following.
I'll edit that out, too.
I do know that at 5:37 a.m., was officially the first day of spring. We hit the spring equinox.
Oh, so it didn't start at like after midnight.
Officially 5:37 a.m.
And what's good is first day of spring, and it was warmer earlier this week, and it was cold this morning. So go figure. So there we go. March the 20th on this day in history. Uh-oh, you got a text. You're laughing. What did you
Valerie Holt. Ravioli from a can. You are not my friend any longer.
No, she's a great cook too. We're talking blasphemy.
Valerie, you have to remember something. I actually went through the military, and I've learned I can eat just about anything to survive.
You were in the military, so you can open a can and just eat out of the can with a spoon.
I can eat out of the
can. People have done that,
and
before.
I've actually done that too.
It's already cooked. It really is already cooked.
You have to remember that being a male as well, I can sometimes dive into the least amount of energy exerted to do what I want.
Right. Yeah.
And if it means cooking versus I can still eat it out of the can, I may just eat it out of the can.
And we know that us as males, when we try our best not to exude as much energy as possible doing things like you just said. We pay the price with our midsection showing up sometimes. Our little midsection suffers for that.
I'm going to share that little piece of private information Friday night. I have one area my health app tells me I'm working on this. Like I do. I work on it every evening.
And you're talking about this upcoming Friday night. What is Alan talking about? Well, he'll tell you about it when you come back after the break. Let's save it after the break.
Tease.
Right. I'm going to come back after the break.
What number you're glued?
We'll talk about it when we come back, where you can hear us tell us museum next Friday. Stay tuned for that, and I got another number too. We come back with more surprises.
Shall we raise our shields, Captain?
At ease, Mr. Chekhov. Again with the shields. I wish he'd just relax and enjoy the amazing picture clarity of the DirecTV HD we just hooked up. With what Starfleet just ponied up for this big screen TV, settling for cable would be illogical. What? I can't use that line?
For picture quality that beats cable, you've got to get DirecTV.
I made you, you know it's true. Mr. Potato Head, I made you. Eyes and ears, mouth and nose too. Mr. Potato Head, I made you.
And now Mr. Potato Head's Sheriff, Fire Chief, and Lady Accessory Kits. Mr. Potato Heads, sold separately.
Mr. Potato Head, I made you.
Mr. Potato Head and Mr. Potato Head Accessory Kits, each sold separately from Romper Room.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Go, Ghostbusters. Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural elimination needs.
We're ready to believe you.
It's okay if you don't understand what he's talking about. He probably doesn't either. It's BK on the air.
My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Oscar Mayer, the first name in Bologna.
How's that?
Oh, I think it's perfect. It's BK on the air. We're back. Did you get some coffee back in your cup?
I had to warm it up because
You had to warm it up.
Here's the thing.
Nice.
I love hello.
You love coffee.
What'll happen sometimes is we get so busy talking in the longer segments, it just sits there because I'm not going to drink it while we're talking.
Yeah.
And then I go to take a sip and a break. I'm like, ooh, it's kind of gotten cool, or sometimes it's like even cold, like and I'm like, I like hot coffee. I'm not. My daughters love iced coffee.
Yeah.
They brew coffee and then pour it over ice cubes, and it's super cold.
All the time? They never drink hot coffee?
No, they'll drink it, but they also, I can't stand cold coffee. I can stand cold tea, no problem.
I don't like hot tea. I like cold tea. Yeah,
I like them both. I can do tea both. I can't do coffee both. I still haven't learned.
I tried the iced coffee for a while back when it was really at its peak, and I'm like, it's okay, but I just don't like it. I'm with you.
Now, if I do the dessert thing where they kind of add sort of like the crushed, where they make it like a coffee Slurpee.
Yeah.
That's
or
okay.
Jamocha shake or something.
Yeah, because it usually is sweeter and they add some other flavoring. It's more like a dessert.
770-386-1450 is our number. It's BK on the air. Somebody's on the line now. Hello, it's BK on the air. Hello.
Hello, Barry.
Hey, Eric. Something told me you were going to call today. How you doing?
Yeah, I heard that.
Good. That's why I thought you were going to call. Perfect. You fell right into that. Yeah.
His attitude. Hello, Barry.
I love how he says hello. Eric loves this show. He calls the show, and he loves me. He loves you. He loves it. That's why he calls. Right, Eric?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. You remember in the... Hey, wait a minute. Hold on, Eric. Hold on. In The Princess Bride... What's the hero's name in Princess Bride? You did the podcast on it. What's his name? Wesley? When he says, as you wish, what does that mean? It means I love you.
I love you.
When Eric says, yeah, whatever,
that's his version.
Means I love you. That's exactly what it means. Okay, go ahead.
Usually
Eric.
It means you guys are awesome.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That too. That means I love you too.
Now, I make one little mistake one time.
Yeah, but we make a few more mistakes than you, so I got to hold on to that one and play the Bob Newhart is still alive card every time I get a chance to do it. So you got to give me that.
Yes, I know.
Okay. Okay. What else?
People who know me have sent me little memes saying I'm still alive with him. It's just, I know what I've done.
Really? They're sending you memes with Bob Newhart is still alive? You mean we started a movement?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Alan, we started a movement.
I like it. Is there a hashtag? Can we get credit for that?
Yeah, can we take total credit for doing that?
I don't know.
We need to have hashtag NSA. Newhart's still alive.
Newhart's still alive, which doesn't stand for what it really stands for. So, yeah. All right. Hey, Eric.
I made one little mistake.
Eric, are you looking forward to the movies coming out that are on the schedule? I got the schedule. As soon as we end this call, I'm going to go right into the theater. Well, I've got a lot of them here on the show. A list all the way up until December 22nd.
I'm still waiting on Black Widow.
Well, I got the release date, May 7th, Fridays, when Black Widow is being released. So, yeah, Marvel has not pushed that release date back on that. All these are firm now.
And that's in time for my birthday. Anybody that wants to take me, I'm just saying.
Well, we might look into that. I mean, I know we got to take you to see the Black Panther, so we might maybe we might be able to swing that.
I'm still mourning over that.
Well, we'll check on that and see if we can make that happen for you. I'll be in contact with you.
Let me know. I'm available. You know where I'm at now, so you know.
And just tell me the words I love to hear. Tell me whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Ah, there we go. I love you, BK. Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
See you, man.
Bye. I have the list right here. In theaters, 2021. Here's just a few, not all that are coming out completely, but these are the ones that we're kind of concerned about and maybe want to see that you might want to know about. And a couple of them I've forgotten about. March the 31st, Wednesday, coming up. First on the list, got Godzilla vs. Kong. It's going to be available in theaters and HBO Max, but don't tell anybody. See, I don't want anybody to watch it on HBO Max. Once it's gone from the theater, watch it again on HBO Max. Don't watch it on HBO Max the first time. Go to the theater. Get some popcorn. Get your butts back in there and have a good time. You want to social distance from people in there and make you feel better? Go ahead and do it. They're probably going to be doing it anyway, but just go in there and see a movie. Go patronize the theater.
Yes.
And get back in there. May the 7th, Friday. You heard me. I just told our caller, Eric, Marvel's the Black Widow is coming out with Scarlett Johansson. It's a flashback film to see kind of what happened to her, and I'm still unsure of the timeline. Is it taking place before, after Iron Man, right after Iron Man 2, her first appearance, or is it taking place right before the Avengers? I'm not sure. We'll have to watch and see when it falls. They'll let us know exactly when it's taking place in the Marvel timeline, which is going to be fun to watch. And talk about a minor character in the comic books. She really wound up being one of the main Avenger characters. She was really important. Not that important in the comic books. I mean, she was important. I'm not going to say I didn't like her. I don't mean that she wasn't important at all. But she was more of a minor character.
And that's what I think we've argued is okay. The filmmakers or the TV producers and the visual people said, we need to construct something that works on screen.
Right.
And her addition worked fantastic.
She didn't have any superpowers. She was more gadgets, physically,
which is why
shape.
I like Hawkeye.
And great. Oh, yeah, both of them together, which they make a good team. And in the comic books, for the longest time, the Black Widow teamed up with Daredevil in his comic book for many years. In fact, the book said Daredevil and Black Widow had her logo on it in his book for a long time. July the 2nd. Here's an odd one that's coming out that I was never a big fan of the first movie, and I think you were a big fan. Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick, is being released on Friday, July the 2nd. And that date is firm, too.
I am going to want to see that for no other reason then I know how they filmed all the fighter sequences. Yeah. Rather than rely on total CGI, which they could, they actually hired, paid the pilots of fighter jets, and they put 6 or 7 cameras in the cockpit, and they the actors were actually in the actual fighter. Yeah. So when you see them struggling against G-force to deliver lines, or they have to do, they are actually flying.
So
that's amazing.
What you're saying is going to be very gritty realism to that
for the flights. Now I will say the movie's probably going to suck.
Now, the story is going to be a little crazy, probably. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Val Kilmer. I want to see how he fits into the movie, or is it just a cameo, or does he have like 2 or 3 minutes, or is he really in this movie a lot? We'll find out. Speaking of flying, do you remember the movie Blue Thunder with Roy Scheider about the helicopter?
Loved it.
Remember the bad guy in that was Malcolm McDowell, was the guy he was in Vietnam with, and he had the remembered stuff he did back then. And
for me, I know he was in Clockwork Orange, but he always became sort of like a great bad guy.
Oh, he was.
From that point on.
Another intense actor, Malcolm McDowell. He's the guy that killed Captain Kirk, for God's sake, in Generations. Malcolm McDowell was terrified of flying. And he goes, if you listen to the DVD commentary or see his, I think it's an interview with him, he goes, if you watch my face in Blue Thunder, when I'm in the chopper flying around, when they want to get those close-ups of me flying, and I'm making these faces when I'm doing loops and stuff, he goes, those are real faces I'm making. I'm scared to death. As they were filming the scenes, and I thought that was funny.
I need to go back and rewatch it. I have not seen Blue Thunder.
Blue Thunder's a great movie.
Long time.
I thought it was a really great film. I mean,
I was a fan of the TV show it spawned. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, remember a few years back, we got to interview the director of Blue Thunder on the air, John Badham. He also directs Dracula and a lot of other movies that I always enjoyed, and we talked about him with him extensively here on the air. July the 9th, Friday, Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is coming out. It's Marvel's. That's the one I keep forgetting about. That's the Kung Fu. That's the Kung Fu world Marvel delved into with the superhero that we're going to see get to come out. We're going to see how he fits into the Marvel universe and what happens in his movie that have ramifications on the future. August the 6th, on Friday, coming up. We take a little jump a little later in the year. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad for Warner Brothers in D.C. James Gunn's D.C. work is going to be coming out. It's the sequel, or whatever you want to call it, to the first Suicide Squad movie. You know what you should do? Just put the word "the" at the beginning. That's what we'll call this one. First one was Suicide Squad. This one's called The Suicide Squad. That's the difference between the two films. And I'm sure this one will be better. August the 20th, on Friday, August the 20th this year, the prequel to The Kingsman, The King's Man, will be coming out, which takes place in the past. I'm really looking forward to that, too. There's another film franchise that I'm a big fan of, are The Kingsmen, and they're great, and I know you like them, too. October the 1st, Friday, October the 1st. I know you're really looking forward to this one, too. Dune is being released into theaters October the 1st, the very 1st of October. That's a Friday.
If it can just maintain the same sense of visual, like treats for the eyes, the sound of 2049, the same director who did 2049, I am so in.
With him at the helm, I have no doubt that it will do that because he's a fantastic visionary of a director. He really is a really great
I know
filmmaker.
you guys maybe not like. I think you liked it more than Mike Clark did, but 2049. Even rewatching it, I pick up on stuff and just
it's
the
very
texture,
layered. Very layered.
The sounds, the visuals. It's such a treat.
Hey, I've said over and over again that Blade Runner 2049, when the original Blade Runner came out, no one got it, no one saw it. It was kind of buried, became a cult classic, and gained popularity over time. I have no doubt that it's possible that Blade Runner 2049, same thing could happen. People will discover it and think it's great later on and go, oh, that really was a good movie. I know that they didn't want to reproduce that aspect of it that they did from the first film. They'd rather it had been a hit right off the bat. But I see it becoming a rediscovered movie. October the 8th of this year on Friday, James Bond, No Time to Die.
I don't believe it.
Hopefully. We don't know for sure. Maybe it'll come out. That's the only one in here that I have a doubt about since it's been pushed back so many times. That's Daniel Craig's last outing as James Bond. And you can there's now a pool out there that you can see odds. There's an odds website that show the odds of who they're going to
next
pick
Bond.
for the next Bond. So yeah. So No Time to Die. November the 5th on Friday, Marvel's Eternals is coming out on November the 5th. That's the next big super deep space group, Marvel's Eternals. That's the celestial godlike beings in deep space. We're going to take a break. It's BK on there. I got more movies the rest of the schedule when we come back. Theaters are going to be open. Go see a movie. Don't rent it on HBO Max. Go see it in a theater and experience it. We'll be right back. It's BK on the air.
They sure work hard, don't they, Barney?
Yeah? I hate to see them work so hard.
Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them.
Gee, we ought to do something, Fred.
Okay. How's about taking a nap?
Hey, I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
That's it! Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it up front where it counts. Here, ahead of the pure white filter. Winston packs rich tobaccos specially selected and specially processed for good flavor in filter smoking.
Yeah, Barney, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
The first electronic football games like these were for only one player.
End run.
But something was missing.
Can I play? Wait your turn.
Then along came head-to-head electronic football by Coleco.
Now we can play at the same time. I'm offense. I'm defense.
With head-to-head, you're really in the game. A power sweep. He fights through for the tackle. You pass. He blitzes. Intercepts.
This is real competition.
Why settle for a one-player game when you can have it all? Play alone, against the computer, or for real competition. Play
head-to-head.
Why settle for less?
A is for apple, J is for Jack, cinnamon toasty apple jack. You need a good breakfast, that's a fact. Starting off with apple jack, apple jack, apple jack. It's a real apple that plays pack. Apple tasty, crunchy too. Kellogg's apple jacks, apple jacks, apple jacks.
Apple Jack cereal from Kellogg's, part of your good breakfast.
Apple jacks, apple jacks.
Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic. Whoa!
And now, back to a guy who has no idea what a call of encroachment means, but he knows what roughing the listener is all about. It's BK on the air.
I do a little ruffling of everything. Ruffle Eric enough where he'll call in and talk. 770-386-1450. You can call and talk to us just like Eric did if you want to. May have a little surprise announcement coming up. I'm just going to tease it. Actually, I'm going to announce something, and I'm going to wait till it's official, maybe later on today. And you can catch me on the Nostalgic Pod Blast tomorrow on Sunday.
Is that a live show?
But yeah, that will be live, and they'll offer it as a streaming thing later if you miss it. I'm going to break some news on another way you can hear BK on the air tomorrow after it's finalized. I got some big news on how you can hear this show. Another place you can hear it, which is going to be fun. I want to say syndication. Technically, it's a syndication. If you look at the word syndicated, what it actually means, it is that. It's not syndicated on a billion stations or anything, but it will be syndicated at a website, and another organization is going to have me, and I'm going to break that tomorrow when it's official. So that's going to be fun. I haven't even told you yet. I'll tell you after the break today.
Well, there's a lot I don't know.
There's a lot I don't know.
My wife knows that.
There's a lot that I know that I shouldn't know that's useless. So more movies. Let's count down the rest of the movies that I got on here because I got a lot more to talk about. November the 11th, on Thursday, November the 11th, Ghostbusters Afterlife this year.
Oh,
See how many movies we're looking forward to this year? The list is
can't wait to
long.
see that one.
It's and what a year for them to come back because we've been I've been going to the movies regularly since the pandemic started. I've just been doing that, seeing older movies and stuff, but I never stopped. But a lot of people quit. But it's a great time to start back with all these movies coming out. December 10th, Friday, December 10th, Steven Spielberg's West Side Story will be released on December 10th. So that's he's working on that.
You know, I've been a Spielberg fan probably my entire life. I don't know that I'm clamoring to go see it.
Well, West Side Story is that classic.
I know what it is, and I know it's a remake and everything. And
I guess it's going to be.
But it seems so weird,
right?
To like of all the things Spielberg could do, why that?
I think. Well, we talked about this before about Spielberg. I think he chooses things that he can do now that he just wants to. I mean, he loved War of the Worlds growing up because he's like, I'll make my own remake of War of the Worlds. Oh, I really loved Peter Pan growing up. I'll just make Hook. Who cares if it makes money or not? I'm Steven Spielberg. I'll just do it.
Just happens. Well, at least this way we now know the worst Steven Spielberg movie.
Probably, if you want to say that Hook was, I'll probably vote yes on that.
Hook is the absolute of all of his body of work.
Disappointment. Very bad. And I don't know a lot of people that like it, but they were kids when it came out, so they kind of remember it as kids when they saw it, and they're like, oh, my guilty pleasure's Hook.
I was so disappointed.
It was disappointed. It was
all these stars, the star power, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible.
Did they have a script for the film? I don't know. Maybe they did. Trying to think. And,
did they have a director?
It's like phone it in.
Sorry.
December the 7th. How harsh we are. We just speak our mind, don't we? December 17th on Friday, Marvel's Spider-Man No Way Home on Friday, December 17th. So you got we got 3. We got 4. Is it 4? 1, 2, 3. We got 4 Marvel movies coming out this year in this 1 year. So we're coming back.
1 a quarter.
And here's one that I totally forgot that went under my radar, and I totally forgot toward the end of the year. December the 22nd on a Wednesday, not a Thursday or a Friday. They're opening it on December 27th. The Matrix 4.
Yes.
The big
I can't
Matrix
believe
sequel.
they're making another Matrix movie.
I can't either. I probably will see this one because hopefully I'll think maybe they learned from their mistakes before. I don't know.
See,
sometimes they do.
I don't know how much you like. I thought Matrix 1 so amazing.
It was. I love the Matrix. The first
and
film was great.
Really liked all of Matrix 2 up until the last 10 minutes when I realized, okay, you're going to bridge this into Matrix 3. If you can pull it off, fine. But in my Matrix 3 was terrible.
Yeah,
there was nothing good about Matrix 3.
I didn't like 2 because I thought everything they did in the first film, I think they kind of totally forgot it, as far as not story-wise, but the second. I was watching the second one, and I had that feeling of, is this the same guys that made the first one? It just feels like they want to go even further and go way over the top. That's what I thought about the sequel to Zorro with Antonio Banderas. The first film was great, Legend of Zorro with him and Anthony Hopkins. Mm-hmm. But the second one, it's almost like same director. It's almost like they just went, well, let's just take everything we did in the first Zorro and just go completely and just force feed them and go over the top and go crazy with the second one. And it just didn't work. It was missing character. It just had a bunch of crap, but with no. It was all icing and no cake under it. That's what I like to say.
I see, for me, and a lot of people said they didn't like 2 because there was way too much dialogue. What's with the constructor? What's with the architect? What's with the...
on.
And I was like, that's all fantastic. I loved every bit of that. So
Nothing wrong with story.
But here's my biggest problem with the guys that created the Matrix. Everything about the Matrix, the whole underworld, everything about being in the Matrix was based on sort of this Eastern philosophy. And all of a sudden, at the very end, we're like, no, we're going to turn it into the Old West shootout. We're going to have this big thing. And then we're even going to go Arthurian and put him on a barge sailing off into nowhere. I'm like, you went completely in a different philosophical direction.
That's the same thing they did with Highlander. The first Highlander film with Christopher Lambert was a great movie. Thought it was great. Sean Connery, just a movie they didn't. It wasn't an expensive film.
They didn't need a sequel,
but they did a sequel called Highlander 2: The Quickening, and totally ruined it and turned them into aliens from another planet.
Horrible.
Like, no, they're not aliens. They're from here. They're just immortals. Why did you change it? It was
terrible.
Terrible. Don't do that. Why don't they just consult us first?
They should.
Just let us be on the panel of that, and that's what we're called. We're called the Motion Picture Cinema Consulting Panel. And you want to have a problem with sequels? Come to us first, because if we love the first film, we'll tell you what you should run the idea by us, because we'll represent the audience and go, no, you shouldn't do that. That's a bad idea.
Now, you don't have it on your list yet, but isn't there a reboot in the works or a revisioning of He-Man?
There may be, but I don't know if it's this year that it's being released. I didn't see it on that major
it wasn't on your list.
I didn't see it on that list, but who knows? It may have just been omitted, or they may have pushed it back.
Or is that going to be like a Netflix limited thing where it's going to go straight to streaming? Because what's his name behind it? The guy from Jay and Silent Bob, the director.
Oh, Kevin Smith?
Yeah, isn't Kevin Smith
might
behind
be.
that?
I'll have to check that out and see. I'm not sure. I don't know. I have to look at it.
That's
It
the
wasn't
problem
on
with
that
so much
major
crap
list.
on the internet. You don't know what you're reading.
No, and there's something else that I don't think is true, too. I've seen several reports saying there's going to be a Luke Skywalker show now. And it's several people saying it. I'm like, I just don't see that coming to pass. I don't know if they would do that or not. And I've heard Sebastian Stan is going to be cast as him.
Well, if they
'cause he
do it
looks
that
like him.
way, that would be
I'm like,
helpful
okay.
rather than a de-aging technique.
Make him look like he's a video game to the whole thing. I don't know what they're going to do. So either way, I don't know. So there's your list of movies. Get your butts back in the theater. We love the experience. Go and get the popcorn. We've always loved it, going to the movies. I've been going. I remember the first movie. I want to, and I'm not going to get to all the stories that I got left. So if you want to go to my Facebook page and find out all the other things I teased, like Yaphet Kotto passed away, one of our favorite actors, and the Dangerous Toys that Reddit was talking about from the 70s. Or I may just say that when I do it next week. What is the first film that you remember as a kid, just your earliest memories, remember going to see in the theater? Can you remember the first one you may not one you may have been taken to as a baby that you just don't remember, but one you remember watching?
The one I remember clearly, I may have been taken to one before, but clearly was Star Wars.
Really? So nothing really before Star Wars?
I can't remember
anything. You're younger than I am, so that was a while ago for you.
I was only 6.5 in the theater.
Someone's calling in. Let's find out who it is as we tick up to the end of the show. It's BK on the air. Hello, who's this?
He-Man is going to be on Netflix.
So it's going to be a Netflix show. You found out. Okay.
It's been pushed back 2 years.
2 years. Okay, well, Eric found out.
Wow.
For us. All right, buddy, I appreciate it.
But it is Kevin Smith behind it,
Is it
right?
Kevin Smith?
Yeah, the cartoon, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thanks,
There's
Eric.
two versions, the cartoon and the live action.
Okay, there are two. Gotcha.
Tell me one more time.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, I love you too. Bye. Eric.
All right.
Whatever means I love you. So that's going to be, I'll look forward to that. I'll give the new He-Man a try. That'll be good. So you remember Star Wars being like the first cognitive memory of what you saw in the theater.
I remember going to the drive-in and we saw Freaky Friday, but I think that was
Disney,
after Star Wars. I remember seeing the Cat from Outer Space, but that was after Star Wars.
Okay.
I remember seeing the Apple Dumpling Gang.
Which was another one.
That was
Boy,
after
you were
Star
Warner Brothers,
Wars.
Walt Disney all over, weren't you?
Well, I mean, my mom and dad could take us as little kids to that. I remember Herbie the Love Bug. I remember The Man with Two Brains.
Oh, Freaky Friday was before Star Wars. Freaky Friday was 76.
Okay, then
maybe it was Freaky Friday.
But I don't know when we saw
but it might have been
in
out
the
in
run.
77. You're right. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Because it was in the drive-in and the drive-in, not the drive-through.
Well,
I went to the drive-through to watch a movie.
How interesting that this dovetails with Yaphet Kotto, because he passed away. Great actor. We're both big fans of Yaphet Kotto. Alien, Live and Let Die. Is Mr. Big and Live and Let Die. Great villain. Anything else he was in. I think he was in The Star Chamber with Michael Douglas. He was really good in that, too. But my first memory of going to the theater, of seeing my first film as a kid that I remember, was Live and Let Die. 1973. My parents went to see it at a drive-in, and I was sitting in the back seat with them. Obviously, they were long past making out at the theater, at the drive-in, because they had me along, and they weren't going to do that. So they actually watched the movie. I watched it, but, I didn't really get it because it was a spy movie. But, the one thing I do remember watching it is the title sequence. Bond title sequences are great. We'll agree on that. They got legendary title sequences when they come on. This one, the beginning of it came on. It said "Live and Let Die." The Paul McCartney song begins, and the girl's face comes toward the camera during the sequence, and all of a sudden, the song starts, and her face turns into a flaming skull. It just turns into one, and that scared the you-know-what out of me when I was a kid. So the whole time we drove home, that's the only image from the film that I remembered. So when I drove home with Mom, when we were driving home, I was in the back seat. I was scared because I would look out the back window going home at night, and I could imagine the flaming skull following us in the car on the way home. Wow. It scared me. I didn't want to look behind us in the darkness going back home in the dark. So that's my first memory of a movie I remember seeing. And it was at a drive-in, not a walk-in theater.
Yeah, apparently I have more drive-in memories. I just don't know the timing because the one that stuck with me, because I remembered it start to finish, was Star Wars. Like, that's the one that made the indelible impression.
Do you have any other drive-in memories you can tell me off the air when we go?
No, because by the time I was old enough to experience the going to the movies to not actually see the movie, the drive-ins were gone.
And you were in the walk-in theater at that point. So
I do want to say this quickly as we wrap up.
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, tell us quick.
Tell us Science Museum. BK and I are going to be there together, 6 to 7 on their YouTube, on their Facebook, and whatever other mediums you can watch. And if you want to watch it real time and submit questions, there's going to be someone taking your questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer a few of them. But we're going to do their temporary exhibit, Science and Science Fiction. We're going to give a little bit of a lecture from a pop culture perspective.
How they crossed over and influenced each other, science fiction and science fact. It's going to be fun, and I'm looking
this
forward
Friday, Telescience Museum, 6 to 7 online.
It's BK on the air. Thanks for being here. It's always fun. And catch me on the Nostalgic Pod Blast tomorrow, Sunday. Check their website, nostalgicpodblast.com, for details. It's BK on the air.
Let's get out of here. This has been a Film Waste presentation, darling.